Okay, let's go. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It is now 2:04, and I want to call to order the Board of Directors Special Meeting Policy Administration. Today is Thursday, July 2nd, 2026. I'm your chair, Vice President Botello, and our vice chair is Director Kilhold. Okay, is there anyone on site or online who would like to introduce themselves or make any introductions today?
Mr. Chair, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce a couple of people to the board. First, I would like to it's my pleasure to introduce our new hydropower operations supervisor, Mr. Marco Tulli. He joined our team last week. Marco has a bachelor's degree in physics, a master's degree in engineering, and is working on his doctorate in organizational leadership. I'm specifically focusing on operations teams, which is great. He brings more than 15 years of utility operations experience across natural gas, solar, and nuclear power generation, including leading a 24/7 operations crew of 12 at the Redondo Beach Generating Station. He also currently serves as an elective board member of the Inland Empire Utilities Agency. We've taken him out to all of the hydropower sites. He looks at it as a great challenge. As you all know, these facilities are very old and will take a lot of mechanical genius and grit, as well as the engineering and the operation side of things as well. So we want to welcome Marco to our team. We're very happy and proud to have you here, Marco.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Give us a minute on the hydro and then we'll figure out where we can go from there. I also want to introduce Samuel Tuckett. He's an engineering intern. He started with us on June 15th. Sam is working towards a bachelor's degree in geology at the University of California, Riverside, having earned his associate's from Crafton Hills College. He brings a strong hands-on background in construction, welding, fabrication, heavy equipment operation, along with a reputation as a fast learner, dependable team player. We're glad that you found us. I think maybe Karen found him at Crafton Hills College in an event that she was presenting. So welcome to our summer internship team, Sam.
Thank you for that, Heather. I want to welcome both of you, Marco and Sam. Yeah, so Sam, for you're in the right spot. You're going to learn a lot. So welcome, Marco. After hearing a little bit of your resume, I know that you can hit the ground running. So I'm very happy to have you here, sir. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. Okay, public comment. Members of the public may address the board regarding any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. However, no action may be taken on off-agenda items except as authorized by law. Each speaker is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Mr. Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Mr. Chair, I have not received any requests to speak. To the public that's present online and in person, if you wish to provide a public comment, please speak up or raise your hand to be recognized.
Okay, hearing none, seeing none, let's move on. Discussion and possible action items. Discussion item 3.1. It's going to be brought to us, introduced today by our Strategic Communications Manager, Kelly Malloy. It's our state legislative update. Kelly.
Thank you so much and good afternoon. I am going to stay away from that glass of water because if we all remember what happened last time. So today we will give a brief state legislative update, but just so that I don't mess it all up, knowing that things are changing so quickly, we have Jackson Gualco and Kendra from the Gualco group on to be able to give us a quick update. So I will.
Welcome, Jackson.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. So Kelly, were you punting to us right now?
Yes, please.
Okay. So looking at Kelly's slide, she's identified 1, 2, 3, 4 bills plus the budget. So taking it from the top, AB 35, that bill is has moved its way well through the process. It's back in the assembly for a final concurrence vote before it goes to the governor. And Kendra's been watching it carefully. Kendra, any comments you want to make on that one?
Yes, right before the end of session today, there was a concurrence vote taken and the vote was unanimous. The bill is off to the governor. So a pretty easy slip through for that bill that removes APA requirements. So Proposition 4 funding can get out quicker.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Next one's AB 2215, had a completely different outcome. It's the bill that would have extended the State Water Project's water rights till 2046, and it ran into a buzzsaw in the Senate Natural Resources and Water Committee. I think between whatever deal was cut for the election of a new president pro tem, which we've all come to understand meant the likelihood of pro Delta legislation from a state water contractor's perspective moving through, the likelihood got very, very small. And then we ran into Senate committee staff that was very much opposed to the bill and said it's wrong to put the state project in an advantageous position vis-a-vis other water right holders, and said the state project should go through CEQA like everybody else. And of course, once there was a project identified, it would go through CEQA. So it was a bit of a specious argument. So the author saw the writing on the wall, Assemblywoman Calderon from San Gabriel Valley, and pulled the bill from consideration, realizing the votes just weren't there. So that's a big disappointment, but we're going to be giving a lot of thought to what we do in 2027 on the issue. So there'll be more discussion that happens at the state water contractors. So Heather and Michael will be part of those conversations, and we'll get looped in, no doubt, as well. Then AB 2568, Water District Director Compensation, which ups the number of meetings for which larger sized water districts, including yours, would be able to get compensated. Additionally, that bill is moving along as well and is up on Senate third reading. So it's gone through the Assembly and is almost done getting through the Senate. And then finally, SB 872, which has been so far a love fest between Restore the Delta and the state water contractors on providing money for both the Delta levee repair as well as subsidence repair on the state project. That's moving along as well. It's in Assembly appropriations. At this point, there is no money identified in the bill. That's going to happen through, separate budget discussions, either in August or into next year. So that bill is moving along. And then on the question of the 26-27 budget, it's largely done between the main budget bill and a number of budget bill juniors that were adopted. But the discussion over the summer, because the 1 month break started today, will be over what to do about Proposition 4 allocations, as well as what to do about Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund expenditures. And so, we're expecting, at least on the latter, there will be a more conservative approach, given the fact that the ARB's decision on how to treat the cap and invest could, by virtue of what the LAO has said, legislative analyst has said, could be half of what we've been expecting over the last few years. Others think maybe it's going to be a 30% reduction, but regardless, it puts programs like safe and affordable drinking water at risk of not getting funded at all, or at far less than the $130 million that has been generally allocated thus far. So that's a quick rundown by me. Kendra, you want to fill in anything that I managed to leave out?
No, I think you did a really good job. Some of the things that we're most interested in, like you said, have been put off till after the summer. When the legislature returns, they'll have the month of August before adjournment. So not a lot of time. We usually hear people say we'll work things out over the summer recess, and sometimes that works out and sometimes it doesn't. I did want to mention that the Legislative Analyst's Office predicts that there'll be a budget shortfall for at least the next 3 budget cycles, even though what was passed by the 3-party agreement, which is the governor and the 2 Democratic leaders, is supposed to be a balanced budget through June of 2026. It's a 2-year budget plan, but I think the proof will be, once Governor Newsom leaves, what the real budget numbers are. And the LAO is also very concerned about a mini bubble bursting in the stock market and the IPO arenas. We rely very heavily on capital gains taxes, And should that bubble burst, the LAO has predicted up to a $100 billion shortfall. So very tenuous.
But Kendra, you said through June 2026. I think you meant through 28.
28, yes.
Yeah.
I do mean 28. And then I also wanted to add on to the agenda that there have been a couple of governor's appointments that are of importance to us. Tom Gibson has been appointed Director of DWR, and Jared Blumenfeld has been appointed to the State Water Resource Control Board. He replaces Laurel Firestone, who resigned earlier this month. Didi Diadamo was reappointed to the State Water Board. She fills the attorney slot that Laurel resigned from. And then Jared Blumenfeld is an attorney, but he is only licensed to practice in New York. So he takes over Didi's slot.
Oh, that's how you switched.
Yeah, so they switched. So that's why Didi was like reappointed again so soon, since her past reappointment. It was to fulfill the requirements of those specific seats.
Yeah, and Tom Gibson, many of you may know, he's been one of the two lead deputy directors at DWR, former general counsel at the Resources Agency, former undersecretary there. So he's got a wealth of experience, and I've just found Tom to be a really, really effective problem solver. He's helped us with a couple of thorny issues, and really likes to roll up his sleeves and figure out a solution set. So I think for purposes of the state project and just DWR generally, that's a very good appointment. That's it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Did you have anything to add, Kelly?
I was just going to say, so because we know this is the end of the session for now, it'll recess for the summer. So there may be things that happen because of conversations on the break, but we don't expect a whole lot of legislative activity over the summer as we have in previous years. We're pushing through like SB 72 last year. We were very actively working on it over the summer. This year's a little bit quieter. We're going to knock on wood. And then we'll bring back updates to the board once session resumes, and then we close out with the governor's signature.
Great. Okay, directors, are there any questions for Jackson or Kendra? Okay, seeing none. Jackson, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Could we go back to Jackson's slide? Yeah, right there. So what is your sense about AB 2215 in terms of, I know it's been pulled, but with the time and, maybe there's some strategies behind the scenes to talk to folks. What is your sense about this, if that's an opportunity for these, and also I want to throw in there, although we weren't given a presentation today, but there's some issues around water rights with the sites project also. So those two issues I think really concern this district. So anything to unpack there, sir?
Well, I think, what a combination of the activist Delta groups along with the tribes. The tribes have become a much bigger player in the whole Delta discussion. And so I think the default to kind of protect the Delta by virtue of the pro tem election, the hostility on the part of the Senate Policy Committee staff, as well as some of the leadership team, just doomed us. And so as much as we thought we had a really good shot, given the fact the bill came out with no votes in the assembly, it was, it's a bicameral legislature. The Senate has a de novo review of whatever the assembly, decides to send over their way. And they've just got a very different perspective on Delta water issues than the majority of the assembly does.
Thank you, sir. Heather, did you have something?
I would never underestimate Jennifer Pierre. So we have a warrior heading up the state water contractors, and I feel like she will keep fighting for solutions on water rights.
Great. Okay, if there's no other questions, Jackson, Kendra, like always, thank you so much for your comprehensive and thorough update. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a good holiday weekend, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Okay, this is a receive and file, so let's move on. Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate it. Discussion item 3.2 is going to be brought to us today by our Assistant Chief Engineer, Leo Ferrando. It's consider the second amendment to the asset purchase agreement with Southern California Edison for the hydroelectric facilities, including the generator, interconnection, and distribution service agreements. Leo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Discussion item 3.2 begins on page 5 of the packet. And to begin, I will just provide a high-level brief history of everything that pertains to what we've been doing the last few years. So the top two items are maybe the highest level items that pertain to the APA, which is the main asset purchase agreement that we entered into with Southern California Edison to purchase the hydroelectric facilities, and that was executed in June of 2024. And then most recently, in early April, we discussed and the board approved a first amendment to the APA, which at that time, it basically just updated a few terms regarding the outside closing date and clarified a few of their responsibilities that pertain to interconnection work and things relating to post-closing work. And then on item number 3, just to kind of highlight the biggest milestones or hurdles that we've recently achieved, and those were the approval from the CPUC last October, and most recently the FERC license transfer approval in April. And before diving into each of the agreements, I did want to have a brief pause to go over some important definitions. So GIAs, you're going to see that throughout all of these agreements, and what that stands for is Generator Interconnection Agreements. And mainly what GIAs do is they govern how a hydroelectric facility connects to the grid. Second, we have CAISO. CAISO is the California Independent System Operator, and the CAISO is basically a nonprofit corporation that sort of functions as the air traffic controller, if you will, except that controlling air and airplanes, they control energy throughout the state's grid when it pertains to wholesale market energy. And then items 3 and 4, Rule 21, that is basically SCE's local tariff, which is generally used for hydroelectric projects that interconnect within retail for non-wholesale export. And then Wholesale Distribution Access Tariff, or WDAT, is exactly the opposite. It's a tariff that would allow interconnection to export energy from a generation project into the California grid, so facilitating for wholesale market. Now, the first item for consideration today here is the Second Amendment to the APA. So the main driver for the Second Amendment is to replace the interconnection agreements that were part of the original APA that this board approved in June of 2024, and also to replace the way SCE charges us as far as payment for all the interconnection charges. So on the right here, I have a little bit of a figure that summarizes what those charges are. So originally, under the original APA, the way it was set up is it was a 20-year projection that included all of the actual costs as it went through month to month, year after year for 20 years. And it was a true-up calculation, and Edison proposed to actually simplify that with a flat fixed fee per month per facility, instead of doing this complicated calculation and true-up every month. So we come out on the winning end, to be honest, because as you can see, all of that projection would have been approximately $3.5 million. However, over the 20-year term, that would add up to $84,000 per year or 1.7 million approximately for the entire life of the 20-year agreement. So this provides significant savings and eliminates a lot of the cost uncertainty, which, in all honesty, throughout future, in the future years, all those real costs, as far as interconnection facilities charges and actual costs that SCE will incur to provide the service for us, would probably highly likely rise throughout. So having this fixed fee is a real benefit for Edison, for simplicity of administration and calculations, and for us or the JPA.
Leo, do you mind if
Right.
I stop you right there?
Please do.
Yeah, so that fixed fee is for 20 years. So is in that agreement, do we have an automatic re-up where we can keep that fee, or at the end of 20 years, are they are they able to say, well, now it's $20,000 a month? Just a question. Do you think that, maybe we should have some automatic?
It's fixed for, obviously all 20 years, but there's no mention of what happens after the 20 years. So we'll
believe
probably have to negotiate a new agreement at that time.
Yeah, but the interconnection work, it seems kind of vague to most people who aren't engineers. This is things like moving power poles, doing the physical, actual connection of the generation facilities to the transmission facilities of where it goes from us producing power to entering into the SCE grid. So I believe that all that interconnection work will be done well in advance of 20 years. But once it's done, it's done. Then we're
So it's done.
interconnected. Unless there's a problem and we need to redo it. But, maybe that's by facility or something. But we were initially planning to do this true up at the end. And instead of doing that, of like looking at the real costs, which could take 10, 12, 13 years, that we would do this monthly fee instead. But we do not anticipate that we will need that after 20 years.
Great, thank you.
All right. And so covering the amendments for the generator interconnection agreements. So like I mentioned earlier, the GIAs that were included in the original APA were set up under the Rule 21 tariff. So in other words, originally it was set up just to participate within SCE tariffs. And this change, this amendment, will basically replace that interconnection agreement with a WDAT type of agreement, which will basically allow the district and the JPA to export energy into the grid and negotiate power selling to a third party. And then last, which is another part of the interconnections agreements, is a distribution service agreement. So what that basically is the interconnection agreement is basically just the break between generation and distribution. The distribution service agreement basically commits SCE to carry that electricity throughout the distribution for us and deliver it to the wholesale market. So as San Bernardino Valley, we agreed to take and pay for this service under the $1,000 fixed fee for that tariff, and these are new. So this is not an amendment. The previous GIA on the previous slides was an amendment, but these ones are new. And both agreements are kind of go hand in hand. And the last thing I'll mention is that both of these agreements are FERC pro forma type of agreements. There were little limited deviation for negotiations, similar to, you might remember in December when we approved the Green Spot transfer, Green Spot pump station transfer from the WR to us. This is very similar in that regard, at least for the SCE portion. So those are the agreements here for your consideration.
I just wanted to add a little bit of context on the why behind now needing this distribution service agreement. So previously, we had anticipated that we would take advantage of the SCE RESBCT tariff, which is basically a discount that you would use towards your own power bills. But then we realized that it would be cleaner, simpler, especially for operational expenses and revenues of the Joint Powers Authority if we just entered into a power purchase agreement with the third party and not try to figure out how to distribute the benefits of the tariffs amongst the partners. So when we made that change to a more simplified way of generating revenue from the power, that's when we needed to enter into this different type of agreement with Southern California Edison to recognize that shift in strategy.
Great, thank you for that. Is that it, Leo?
That is basically it. So I will go ahead and go over the staff recommendation, which is that the Board of Directors consider and approve the second amendment to the asset purchase agreement with the SCE for the acquisition of the hydroelectric facilities, together with the associated generator interconnection agreements and distribution service agreements, and authorize the CEO General Manager to execute the agreements, subject to any minor technical or non-substantive revisions deemed as necessary or approved by House Counsel.
Okay, great. I want to open it up for discussion for the directors. Do you have any questions or comments, anything for Leo? Do I have a motion?
Through the chair. Through the chair.
Yes.
I do have a question. I know this is all complex and new to a water agency for sure and engineering. So I have a question. Who's helping us navigate through these agreements? Is it legal? Do we have consultants to?
Many legal minds. We also have some consultants. Yes, this is a team effort for sure. We do have a expert named Bob Tang who's helping us work through the power purchase agreements, negotiating us the best deal on sale of power. We have our House Counsel. We also have our FERC Council and our Water Council working on all of the different agreements and how it's associated with the facilities.
Thank you.
Okay, Director Longville.
I just wanted to point out that this was one of the times where the board getting the slides early did clarify a lot of things that as I read through the agenda, I had questions about. And once I got those last night, I understood it more fully. So I really do appreciate that we're doing that, even if it comes at 8 o'clock the night before, makes a big difference. So thank you so much.
Thank you for that, Jose. Appreciate that. Any other questions or comments before we call for a motion? To move the staff recommendation?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Let the record reflect, President Harrison made the motion. For roll call, Vice President Bateo,
Yes.
Director Keelhold,
Yes.
Director Longville,
Yes.
Director Velasquez,
Yes.
and President Harrison.
Yes.
The motion carries. The staff recommendation for item 3.2 is approved.
Sure. Go ahead, sir.
I just want to thank Leo and Heather and Wen and those two gentlemen back there, everybody that's been involved in this and just watching over us and protecting us as we go through this. I feel a great deal of confidence in what is being done and said and who is doing it and saying it. And I appreciate the way this is. I think this is just tremendous. This is very exciting to move into this. And I think it's being done right. And I think we are protecting the taxpayers and all of our various people that are involved in what we do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the directors? Okay, I just want to say again, thank you to the staff. This is a big deal. I remember when this first came, when Wen brought this and Heather to us. I think the genius of our board is that we have this ability to really see things in the beginning, their value. And we did that with our purchase over there at the 1,600 acres and this project. And I just think that it is a testament to the valuable staff that we have, and we just added Marco to that team today. And when Jose was asking about the attorney, uh, we met the FERC guy, right? That guy is incredible. So I know we're in safe hands with him in terms of that. So anyway, I just think that there's no it really doesn't my words do not say enough of the big deal that this is for our ratepayers, and how this board is always forward thinking, innovative, and the staff is measured. They're professional, and they do their due diligence. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. Any future business? Hearing none, see none. Our counsel, Brad, you want to take us into closed session?
Yes. We will be going into closed session today for conference with legal counsel under the anticipated litigation exception.
Okay, let's go. Milford had to leave early. So there's a quorum still. Mr. Council, do you want to bring us out of closed?
Yes, Chairman, we have no reportable action from today's closed session.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Next slide. Okay. Before we adjourn, I want to, for the record, adjourn in the memory of San Bernardino Mayor Judith Valles, who she recently passed away. So to her family, the mayor served 2 terms, 1998 to 2006. She had the distinguished, made history as the first Latino elected mayor in the city of San Bernardino. But more than that, she's the first Latina in any U.S. City to be elected mayor with a population of 100,000 or more. We're going to miss the mayor's contribution in terms of policy, and I just wanted to say that for the record. So thank you all. We're adjourned.